Imagine building a perfect life, finding love, and believing that you've finally put the past behind you, until you discover that it was all an illusion. Lucas always thought he knew Anna, the woman with whom he shared dreams and secrets. But in a split second, a simple glance exchanged with a stranger revealed that there was something much greater hidden beneath the surface. What was Anna so afraid of? What had she spent years trying to forget? When Lucas finds a hidden photograph, he realizes that the woman he loves is carrying a secret that could change everything. Now he has to decide: accept the truth and fight for what he feels, or turn his back and leave the past buried. But there's something he still doesn't know. The past always finds a way of coming back, and when it does, not everyone is ready to face the consequences. The hall was illuminated by a gigantic chandelier, spreading golden reflections across the marble walls. Lucas walked through the room naturally, greeting acquaintances and exchanging polite smiles. He never liked these gala parties, but he attended out of respect for his family's legacy. Next to him, Anna looked like a vision. The elegant dress hugged her curves perfectly, and her eyes sparkled in the warm light of the room. Lucas watched her in awe. Ever since he had met her, he had felt that she was different. She wasn't like other people who always seemed to be after status or money. With Anna, he felt there was something genuine. "You look beautiful tonight," he whispered, coming close to her ear. Anna smiled, but there was something in her gaze that Lucas couldn't define. For a moment, he felt her hesitate before answering. "Thank you," she said softly. He took her hand and felt her cold fingers. "Are you nervous?" "No, I'm just—" Anna forced a smile. "I'm not very used to this kind of event." Lucas laughed softly. "You've been to so many with me, and you always shine at them." This time she didn't answer. She just looked away, observing the dance floor where couples were twirling to the sound of the orchestra. Lucas noticed her strange behavior, but decided to ignore it. Maybe she was just tired. Later that evening, when they were finally home, he watched her as she removed her earrings in front of the mirror. His gaze was distant, lost in thought. "Anna," he called, coming closer, "you never talk much about your childhood. What was it like?" She stopped fiddling with her earrings and stared at her reflection in the mirror for a few seconds before answering. "Nothing special," she said without emotion. "It was a time I'd rather not remember." Lucas frowned. "Everyone has good childhood memories. No funny stories, no pranks." Anna finally turned to face him. "Some things should stay in the past." There was firmness in her voice, but also something deeper, something Lucas couldn't decipher. He decided not to insist, but the seed of curiosity had already been planted. Lucas woke up in the middle of the night with a strange feeling. He turned over in bed and realized that Anna wasn't beside him. The room was plunged into silence, except for the distant sound of a muffled sob. He got up slowly and walked down the corridor. The dim light from the living room lamp illuminated Anna's profile, sitting on the sofa with her knees pulled up to her chest. Her face was hidden between her hands and her shoulders were shaking slightly. "Anna!" he called out in a low voice, trying not to frighten her. She raised her head quickly and wiped her face with the back of her hand. "Lucas, what are you doing up? I was going to ask you the same thing." He walked over to her and sat down next to her. Anna looked away, avoiding facing him. "I just had a bad dream," she mumbled. Lucas frowned. "Do you want to talk about it?" She hesitated for a moment, but then shook her head. "There's nothing to talk about." Lucas sighed, knowing that pressing her wouldn't do any good. He slipped an arm around her shoulders and pulled her gently against him. "All right," he said, "but if you need me, I'm here." Anna remained still for a few seconds, then rested her head against his chest. "Thank you." Over the next few days, Lucas began to pay more attention to the details. At dinner, Anna seemed distracted, her gaze lost on some undefined point. "What are you thinking about?" he asked one evening while they were eating in a restaurant. Anna blinked a few times, as if she was coming back from far away. "Nothing," she said, picking up her glass of wine. Lucas noticed that this answer was repeated often. Whenever she became distant, if he asked, the answer was the same. Nothing. That same night, when they were about to go to sleep, he tried a different approach. "You never talk about your family," he said casually. "I don't even know if you have any siblings." Anna adjusted her pillow and lay down with her back to him. "Does it matter?" Lucas was surprised by the tone in her voice. "I just want to get to know you better," he said carefully. Anna took a deep breath. "I don't like to talk about it." "Why?" It took her a few seconds to answer. "Because I don't want to." Lucas remained silent. He had always respected Anna's space, but he was beginning to feel that something bigger was hiding there. The hall at the charity event was full of important guests. The clink of glasses and the buzz of conversation filled the room, while waiters passed by, balancing trays of sophisticated drinks. Lucas, used to this kind of reception, kept a light smile on his face, chatting to businessmen and family friends. Ina was by his side, discreet as always, but elegant in a navy blue dress. He noticed that despite the smile on her face, her eyes were scanning the room as if looking for something, or someone. "Is everything all right?" he asked, leaning closer to her. "Yes," she answered quickly without looking away. Before Lucas could insist, a woman in a wine dress holding a glass of champagne suddenly stopped a few meters from them. His eyes widened as he recognized Anna. "My God," muttered the woman, looking shocked. Anna stiffened at the sight of her, her fingers curled around the cup she was holding. Lucas felt the tension next to him and looked from the woman to Anna, confused. "What's wrong? Do you know her?" Anna didn't answer. Her face turned pale, as if the blood had drained from her skin. The woman opened her mouth, as if she was going to say something, but hesitated. Her eyes were filled with an emotion that was difficult to decipher. Surprise, sadness, perhaps even hurt. Then, without saying a word, she turned and hurried away. Lucas looked at Anna, expecting her to say something. But instead, she put her glass on the nearest table and whispered, "I need some air." She turned away, walking quickly towards the exit. Lucas didn't hesitate to follow her. When he caught up with her outside, Anna was breathing heavily, her hands resting on the railing of a balcony overlooking the city. "Who was that woman?" he asked, stopping beside her. Anna took a while to answer. When she finally spoke, her voice came out low. "I don't know." Lucas arched his eyebrows. "You froze when you saw her. It didn't seem like you didn't know her." Anna bit her lower lip, still avoiding looking him in the eye. "It was just a scare. I thought it was someone I knew from the past, but I must be wrong." The answer didn't convince him. Something was very wrong. Lucas remained silent for a moment, then crossed his arms. "You always ask me to trust you, but sometimes it feels like you don't trust me." Anna finally looked at him. Her eyes looked sad, but she didn't say anything. She just looked away again, letting the night envelop them in a silence full of secrets. Lucas couldn't get the scene of the event out of his head. The way Anna was paralyzed at the sight of that woman, the haste with which she fled, and above all, the blatant lie she told him afterwards. He knew how to recognize when someone was hiding something, and Anna was. Over the next few days, he observed her behavior more closely. Anna seemed quieter, more pensive. Sometimes she would stare at her cell phone for long minutes without touching the screen. At other times, she spent too much time staring at the view out of the window. One afternoon, while they were in the car on their way to a dinner with friends, Lucas decided to test the waters. "I've been thinking about our conversation at the event," he began, without taking his eyes off the road. "Did that woman really mean nothing to you?" Anna shifted uncomfortably in the seat next to him. "I said no," she replied, emotionless. "Right." Lucas nodded slowly. "So you don't mind if I try to find out who she is?" Anna turned to him with a tense look on her face. "What's the point?" He kept his tone casual. "Curiosity. You were very upset that night. If it was just a coincidence, why did you react like that?" She looked away to the window. "You're exaggerating, Lucas." The car was silent for a few seconds before he let out a sigh. "It's all right, Lucas. I won't insist." He felt her relax a little in the seat, but his mind was already working in another direction. If Anna wasn't going to tell him the truth, he would have to find out himself. Later that night, when she went to bed early, he took out his cell phone and typed a few keywords into the search engine. A description of the woman, the event, possible guests. Maybe if he cross-referenced information, he would find something. After a few minutes without success, he decided to follow another line of thought. If Anna was hiding a piece of her past, perhaps there was something in the house that could give him clues. He got up and walked silently to the study, where Anna kept some of her personal belongings. He looked through drawers, folders, small safes, and then, at the bottom of a drawer, he found a worn photograph. It was Anna, younger, and in her arms, a baby. Lucas felt his heart race. "My God," he whispered, and then he knew that this was the missing piece. Lucas held the photograph tightly, feeling the weight of the discovery. Anna had never mentioned having a child, never even hinted at the possibility. His heart was pounding in his chest, torn between shock and a million unanswered questions. He studied the image. The baby, too small to recognize distinct features, lay in Anna's arms, who looked younger, but carried the same shade of sadness in her eyes that he had seen in her over the last few days. He took a deep breath. He needed to hear this story from the only person who could tell it. He put the photo in his pocket and left the office. In the bedroom, he found Anna lying down, still awake, staring at the ceiling. "Aren't you coming to bed?" she asked, seeing him standing in the doorway. Lucas hesitated for a second before entering and closing the door behind him. "I need to ask you something," he said calmly, pulling the photograph out of his pocket and holding it out to her. "What's this?" Anna froze. Her eyes were fixed on the image, and for a moment she couldn't breathe. "Where did you get this?" Her voice came out low, almost a whisper. "It was stored in the office. Can you explain it to me, Anna?" She sat down on the bed slowly, picking up the photo with trembling hands. Lucas noticed that her eyes were already shining with tears. "You shouldn't have gone through my things," she murmured. "You shouldn't have kept something like that from me," he retorted, his tone firm but not aggressive. Why didn't you ever tell me?" Anna closed her eyes, holding the photo against her chest. "Because I didn't want you to know," she admitted. Lucas felt a knot tighten in his throat. "This baby, it's your son, isn't it?" Anna nodded slowly, without looking at him. "Where is he now?" She squeezed her eyes shut tightly, as if the question would tear her apart. When she finally answered, her voice came out choked. "I left him behind." Lucas felt a shiver run down his spine. The silence that followed was thick with meaning. "You left him?" Anna raised her head, finally facing him. Her eyes were red. "I had no choice." Lucas didn't know what to say, and for the first time he wondered if he really knew the woman he loved. Lucas felt the air trapped in his lungs, as if the room was closing in around him. He looked at Anna, waiting for her to say something more, waiting for her to explain in a way that made sense. But she just stared at the photo, her fingers trembling as she held it. "What do you mean you didn't have a choice?" He broke the silence, his voice full of confusion and disbelief. Anna took a deep breath, squeezing her eyes shut before facing him. "I was young, and I was trapped in something I couldn't control." Lucas crossed his arms. "Be clearer." She closed her eyes for a moment, and then began to speak, her voice breaking. "I was in a terrible relationship. At first it seemed like love, but over time it became possessive, violent. It alienated me from everyone, made me believe that I had no way out. When I found out I was pregnant, I despaired. How could I raise a child in such an environment?" Lucas remained silent, absorbing every word. "When my son was born, I knew I couldn't let him grow up in that hell," she continued, her voice breaking. "So, one early morning I ran away. No money, no direction, no support. All I managed to do was find a family willing to look after him. You left him with strangers." The question came out harsher than Lucas had intended. Anna closed her eyes, a tear running down her cheek. "I didn't see any other option. Lucas ran his hands over his face, trying to process it all. You never tried to come back? You never tried to find out if he was all right? Anna bit her lip hard. For years I was afraid. Afraid that he would hate me. Afraid that I would destroy his life by showing up out of the blue. Then I convinced myself that maybe it was for the best. Lucas let out a heavy sigh. What about that woman at the event? She knew you. She recognized you. Anna nodded slowly. I think she did. What if she knows where he is? Anna looked at Lucas, her heart in her eyes. What if he doesn't want to see me? Lucas held her gaze. Are you willing to find out? Anna's silence was her only answer. Lucas got out of bed, running his hands through his hair, trying to sort out his thoughts. He looked at Anna, who continued to hold the photograph as if it were the only thing keeping her upright. I need to get this straight, he said, crossing his arms. Have you spent all these years pretending that this part of your life didn't exist? Anna closed her eyes, taking a deep breath before answering. I didn't pretend, she mumbled. I just tried to move on. Lucas let out an ironic laugh, shaking his head. Move on? What do you mean, Anna? As if nothing had happened. She finally faced him, her expression full of pain. Do you think it was easy for me? Her voice trembled. Do you think I didn't spend sleepless nights wondering if he was all right? If he missed me? If he hated me? Lucas felt a knot tighten in his throat. He wanted to understand. He wanted to forgive. But part of him was still trapped in the feeling of having been deceived. And you never thought of telling me? Anna lowered her head. I did, she admitted. But I was afraid. Afraid that you would judge me. Afraid that it would change the way you see me. And it has, said Lucas bluntly. Anna shivered, gripping the edge of the sheet tightly. Do you hate me? Lucas closed his eyes for a moment. When he faced her again, his voice was lower but firm. No, but I don't know what to do with it. The silence between them was piercing. Anna looked away, as if accepting that answer, even if it hurt. If you want to leave, I understand. Lucas took a deep breath. I don't want to leave, Anna. But I don't know how to go on from here either. She nodded slowly. So what do we do now? Lucas looked at the photograph once more. I think it's up to you. She knew exactly what he meant. Anna stared at the photograph on the table. Her fingers slid across the faded image, as if she could feel the past through the paper. Her chest tightened. For years, she had avoided thinking about this moment. Now there was nowhere else to run. Lucas, sitting opposite her, watched her in silence. He understood that the decision was hers alone to make, but the doubt in his eyes made him speak. If you had the chance to see him again, he began, measuring his words. Would you? Anna closed her eyes, as if that question pierced her. What if he doesn't want to see me? She murmured. You have to try, Lucas replied without hesitation. Even if he doesn't want to, even if it's too late. You need to know. She swallowed. What if I destroyed his life? Lucas propped his elbows on the table, leaning forward slightly. What if you didn't? What if he's been waiting for this for years? Anna felt her eyes sting. Hope was cruel. After so long, perhaps it would be better to leave everything as it was. But the truth was that doubt consumed her. Lucas picked up his cell phone and swiped the screen. I did some searches, he said, without taking his eyes off her. The woman who recognized you at the event, I found her name on the guest list. Anna held her breath. And what does that mean? It means we can talk to her, find out if she knows where he is. Anna hesitated. Lucas put his hand on the table, covering hers. I'm with you on this. She looked at him for a long moment. Her heart was racing, and every cell in her body was screaming at her to run, but this time she wouldn't run. Taking a deep breath, she squeezed Lucas's hand. We'll find him. Lucas nodded. So let's start now. The cafe where they had arranged to meet was discreet, away from the busy city center. Anna held her cup tightly, the steam rising and slightly fogging the porcelain rim. Her hands were cold, despite the warmth of the room. Lucas, sitting next to her, gave her a reassuring look. Everything's going to be fine. Anna didn't reply. Her heart seemed about to burst out of her mouth. The door to the cafe opened and the woman from the event walked in. Her eyes scanned the room until they found Anna. For a moment she hesitated, but then walked over to the table. "I knew it was you," she said, her voice full of emotion. Anna felt her stomach turn. How do you know me?" The woman smiled sadly. "I took care of him." The air disappeared from Anna's lungs. "My son?" The woman nodded, pulling out a chair and sitting down opposite them. "You left him with me when he was still a baby. I promised I would take care of him as if he were my own son." Anna felt tears welling up in her eyes. "Is he okay?" The woman smiled softly. "He grew up in a loving home, but I always knew he was adopted, and he always wanted to know about you." Anna covered her mouth with her hand, trying to hold back the tears. Lucas put a hand on her shoulder. "Does he want to see you?" he asked, breaking the silence. The woman hesitated for a moment, then nodded. "Yes, but he's hurt. He has questions." Anna quickly wiped away her tears. "I'll answer them all." The woman took a piece of paper from her handbag and wrote down an address. "He'll be there tomorrow. If you want to see him, this is your chance." Anna took the paper with trembling hands. "Thank you." The woman smiled before getting up. "He's been waiting for this for a long time. Don't give up now." As soon as she left, Anna looked at Lucas, her eyes watering. "What if I don't know what to say?" Lucas held her hand tightly. "Just tell the truth." And for the first time, Anna felt that maybe she was ready. Anna stood in front of the door. Her hands were sweating and her heart was pounding so hard that she could feel it beating in her ears. Lucas stood next to her, giving her an encouraging look. "You can do it," he said. She swallowed and raised her hand to knock. Before she could touch the wood, the door opened. On the other side, a young man stared at her. His eyes were deep, inquisitive. Anna held her breath. She recognized those eyes. They were the same as hers. The silence between them dragged on for seconds that seemed like an eternity. "Are you—" His voice faltered, but then he steadied it. "Are you my mother?" Anna felt her world spin as she heard that word. Tears welled up before she could even speak. "Yes," she whispered, her voice breaking. He crossed his arms, his jaw tense. "Why did you leave me?" The question tore Anna up inside, but she knew it would come. She took a deep breath, forcing herself to find the strength to tell the truth. "I was young. I was trapped in a relationship that was bad for me. I was afraid that you would grow up in that environment. So I made the hardest decision of my life." The young man watched her, his expression indecipherable. "Didn't you ever try to find me?" Anna felt guilt suffocate her. "I tried," she confessed. "But at the same time I was afraid that it would be too late." He looked away, biting his lip. "Do you know what I went through without you?" Anna felt a sob rise in her throat. "I can imagine, and nothing I say will erase that. But I'm here now. If you allow me, I want to meet you." The silence between them stretched on, and Anna feared it was too late. But then the young man took a deep breath and took a small step back, making room for her to enter. Anna sobbed, covering her mouth with her hand. Lucas smiled softly. "Go on." She looked at him gratefully and then crossed the threshold. The past couldn't be changed, but the future was still in front of them. And this time, she wouldn't run away.